Hello, so this is a game that I wanted to review for myself. So this is going to be a VOD review going over one of the gameplay. I'm going to explain my thought process along the way, but I also want to review it because I remember it was a bit of a wacky game and I feel like I made not the greatest decisions at the beginning, but they kind of worked out for me and I kind of stumbled into, title and thumbnail if you saw the video and you clicked on it. 6 Boombot game, which was really interesting, really crazy. On my channel, normally I do guide content, so normally there's going to be like guides on how to play different aspects of the game, recommendations for different comps and itemizations and stuff like that. I'm working on my item guides. They're still not out yet because every day that I'm supposed to edit it, something comes up and I just don't do it. Usually it's mostly procrastinating. Like today, I lost 200 LP playing ranked, so I was like, okay, I gotta go grind my LP back so that I'm ready for stream the next day, so it's not a big issue. But either way, yeah, it's just a mess. Here I do want to look at this spot. So this is the first part coming up, so I'm going to pause it right now. Let's get back on track to look at the VOD review. So here's a big thing, right? I was a little bit tunnel vision. I usually am with Anima because Anima is really good for streaking early. It's really powerful. I find that with the extra Anima weapon doing damage, a lot of times you can actually streak pretty efficiently. So I saw that I have Seraphine pair and I see Alawi in the shop. But I kind of panic bought it, as you can see. So the units that I held on to were kind of awkward, right? I could have easily sold this Kog'Maw. Technically, I can sell Morgana, but playing around tier, I probably want to hold on to Morgana, but I think I already sold one during this stage as well. But I ended up selling a Poppy pair instead. That's just me being really stupid, because Alistar pair and Kog'Maw pair aren't going to be as important as a Poppy pair, because I already have an Alawi on board. And even if I play Anima, no matter what I play, you want to play towards the synergies that you have. So whatever upgrades you have, play towards those synergies. Whatever units you have, play towards those units. So it's a little bit awkward here. I don't have Kog'Maw items. I barely even have Alistar items, arguably. So it's just a poor choice of holding on to units. So that's like a huge mistake on my part. We'll see if I get punished for it. Next, I want to go over Augment selection. I was talking a little bit over it, so let's look at it really fast. Patient study, generic, easy. Just take it, gives you some EXP if you win or if you lose. It's basically like 2 gold per round minimum. It's not the greatest in my opinion, but it's takeable. It's like, okay, it doesn't matter what your spot is. It's going to help you to get some EXP, have some extra gold, especially if you're playing around some higher level comps, which I usually try to do because I don't think I have a good reroll spot. I like Salvage Bin a lot. Just getting an item and being able to break them down is really useful, especially now that there's not that many items. So I'm definitely like going between Patient Study and Salvage Bin. It's just Salvage Bin. It's like really it's just one component. So it's it's 2 components after 7 player combats. So it's a little bit awkward. If I feel like I can streak, I'll usually take Salvage Bin. If not, I probably won't because at that point I'm not slamming items anyways. And then investment strategy, there are lines that are really good with it. I don't think I have the opportunity right now. You could play it with Anima. A lot of times it is like a thing, but it's not like I don't think I have a good enough spot to like greed my gold to try and boost the HP of my entire board. Overclocked, I don't think I have an amp spot from right now. I'm not trying to lose streak into amp or do anything like that. And then I just end up taking Patient Study. I think that was a mistake though, because I should have held on to Salvage Bin. I should have rolled the far right Augment first, and that's really important because I could have seen something a lot better. Rolling Salvage Bin, there is a chance I just play Salvage Bin anyways. It's a potential thing, but I think I just like the idea of Econ early a little bit better than Salvage Bin early. Maybe a mistake, maybe not, but Salvage Bin would have made it so that I can slam 2 completed items, right? I could just slam 2 items. Even if they're not good items, I can then remake them later anyways, so who cares? You know what I mean? It's like it's not even an issue. So it's just rough. But Anima early, really strong. I got the Seraphine upgrade at least. If I'm trying to optimize, I should have slammed the tier on the Seraphine just so that she's like maybe getting a cast off a little bit earlier if I'm trying to win streak. And then Sunfire, of the items I could have slammed, Sunfire seemed like the thing that was a little bit better. And I definitely think that with 3 Anima, at least from when I scouted really fast, I do have a good chance of win streaking ideally. So that's like, not necessarily maybe win streaking, but winning rounds. So it seems like a worthwhile slam. See here, if I didn't take Patient Study, instead what I could have done is Salvage Bin, 1 extra item, maybe I hit a Seraphine item, or I hit another item for my Silas or Alawi that I have extra frontline. I think that would have been a little bit better than Patient Study, because I'd rather just like win the rounds, so to speak, but we'll see how it goes. Now, this is where I think I make a huge mistake. So I already just talked about how items are going to be really important, right? You don't get as many components anymore. They made that change last patch. It makes it a little bit hard to make components and make items, especially if you're trying to win streak or stuff like that. Here I have tower defense, I have Crown's Will, and I have Crown Guarded. Crown Guarded seems pretty good. It's really good on some of the late game units. It's pretty good on like a lot of the Vanguard units as well. Any unit that has a lot of HP. I already made a Sunfire Cape that scales up the HP a little bit, so Crown Guard gets some value. It's just not super great. It's not something that I think to myself, oh, that's a broken augment. Crown's Will, definitely not though. I just don't think it's that great. More of a bailout. Heroic Grab Bag, I don't really have anybody to duplicate. If I had a 3 cost, like if I had like a Jarvan or something, then Heroic Grab Bag makes a lot of sense here. But the fact that I'm keeping tower defense open, I think this is just me trying to look for like an easy game. Sometimes when I'm streaming, like when I'm offline, I really don't care because I'm kind of like listening to music. I'm like doing something else that it's like I feel like I'm more or less entertained. This game was on stream. A lot of times when I'm on stream, for better or for worse, I sometimes look for a quote-unquote easy game. And that's what tower defense is. This was me looking for something that just gives me a lot of direction, tells me what items to slam, just something to play around. Normally, I would only take tower defense if I feel like I have a really strong front line, because a lot of times you're putting the dummy in the back line. Here, I was already playing around Anima, so it kind of felt a little bit awkward to play like, you know, around an emblem, because if the emblem doesn't fit my board, you know, it doesn't make a lot of sense. I could have just streaked playing Anima. But here, you know, me being dumb and holding onto this Kog'Maw for pretty much no reason actually worked out in favor for me getting a Boombot emblem. So, you know, that's Boombot emblem number 1 for my Boombot board. So from this spot, the first thing I'm thinking about is what can I play with this board? Obviously, whenever I see a Boombot emblem, you want to hit an Urgot, so you can hit 6 Boombot. That is like the main wow. I can win the game off of this. It's actually extremely strong, extremely potent, really good board for your late game. So a lot of times your Boombot final cap board, with an emblem or without an emblem, it really depends. Usually just play like a 5-cost soup with a Vex. So a lot of times you're playing something like this, where you're playing like Bruisers with Boombots kind of mixed in, and then you slap in as many 5 costs as possible. One thing about Boombot that I kind of don't like is that it feels very high roll for 2 reasons. Number 1, it's dependent on emblem and a 5 cost, so it can be very, very hard to actually hit the exact units that you need. And then additionally, the units themselves, they don't really share synergies with each other in a very meaningful way, right? Vanguard, Bruiser, there's no Vanguard Bruiser unit. You know, there's a Bruiser Techie, but there's not like a Bruiser Vanguard. There's no Executioner Bruiser, any of these things. It's really hard to tie the board together. So a lot of your combat power just comes from you being 6 Boombot, which usually means you have to have upgrades and you have to have a really strong board. So it's kind of like awkward, even if you're playing it in max cap. You'll see what I do here, which is just high rolling a bunch of Boombot emblems, but it's kind of hard to like get to that final max cap kind of board without having a lot of early game tempo. So I try not to play around Boombot unless I have a really good spot for it, but obviously I took the Wandering Dummy, or the, what's it called, defense, whatever you call it, gave me an emblem, and I'm just playing around the emblem now. So we'll see how it goes. This is Looney Tunes style game. I don't know what else to call it. First Carousel, there's just like 3 spatulas and a huge amount of stuff. I'm last pick, and I'm just gonna take the spatula. So like I was saying before, Boombot, really good if you have a Boombot +1. Something that helps out a lot with it, however, is having a spatula or 2 spatulas so you can hit Boombot +2. Boombot +2 makes it a lot more stable. Obviously, this is like most traits. If you have 2 emblems, it's going to be a little bit better than having 1 emblem. But here especially, I just really want to hit, like, you know, 4 Boombot mid-game is extremely powerful. You know, so I want to hit those type of things. I also want to deny the emblem. I know there's at least one person that has win condition with Anima, so I don't want the Anima player to get the spatula and then hit Anima +10. Didn't scout properly, so I'm not sure 100% if they got the emblem or not. But you can already tell it's going to be a wacky game, because, you know, I have 1 emblem and I have a 2nd emblem. You know, I don't know. We'll see how it goes. But like I said, the thing that helps a lot with having the Boombot emblem, or having a spatula to play Boombot emblem, is that now I can drop one of these other units and still hit 6 Boombot. So, you know, of course, like late game, you want to play a unit like Garen, put the vertical trait that's really broken, so in this case 6 Boombot on all of the units that are on your board. So, you know, that's a unit that I would want to play. And then I probably want to play a lot of 5 costs, right? Your high cap win condition a lot of times is playing around Zac, in most cases. So, you know, if I'm trying to fit in all these 5 costs and then also have meaningful synergies with the Boombot units, it becomes really, really hard to fit in a board, which requires you to have like a lot of upgrades and a lot of like synergies, like not synergies, you're relying on the quality of the units in order to like make up for the fact that you can't play into a lot of synergies with the comp. So if I have more emblems, then I can start dropping some of these units and I can start making a more cohesive board. A lot of times when people are playing like a Fast 9 Boombot board, you'll see that they end up just playing something like 4 Boombot. Unless you have a Boombot emblem, you're usually playing like a 4 Boombot bruiser kind of board. Something that looks a little bit like this. With one more bruiser. Who am I missing? Kabuko. Right? And then you just play like a 5 cost soup and it's a very powerful Fast 9 style board. But as you can see, this is with like 2 Boombots. A lot of times you're only playing like 2 Boombot, Fast 9, play a bunch of 5 costs, and then win out with the 5 cost type of board. The more Boombot emblems you have, then you can just play deeper into the Boombot trait without having to sacrifice quality of board by just pumping in a lot of high quality units instead. So, you know, it's a really weird board. I'm going to do a proper guide on Boombot soon. You know, I wanted to do one before this video, but I decided that I should just wait a little bit. I'm going to research a little bit more, because after the item change, like, you know, Kraken Slayer or Kraken's Fury is really good on Urgot, so I just want to make sure that I know enough about the comp in order to make like a meaningful how to play guide. But anyways, that's my intro. That's my stage 2. Let's see how stage 3 goes from here. We already know it's going to be a wacky game from the thumbnail and the title. So I'm just going to break down my decision making. I think I started out really sloppy, right? I kind of talked about my augment choices. Some of the units I was holding, the items I was making didn't make that much sense. Oh, I forgot. While I was showing you the board, there was one more augment that came up. So the augment that I took here, I'm going to go back here. So look, there's high-end shopping. I think it's a little bit weird to take high-end shopping here. Of course, you can take high-end shopping and play around Urgot, but I decided not to. Here, I instead decided to take expected unexpectedness. Expected unexpectedness is just known to give you a lot of value. It gives you a lot of components, a lot of gold. It kind of pumps your board for 3 turns, so it puts you in a good spot. A lot of the cash outs for expected unexpectedness are really powerful. So instead of taking high-end shopping, I would rather take expected unexpectedness and put myself in a powerful spot, because I'm already win streaking, right? High-end shopping isn't going to help me continue to win streak. A lot of times you're just sacking and then you're trying to do a level 8 roll down, so that on level 8 you hit all of your 5 costs and you do really well. Instead here, I'd rather take expected unexpectedness, pump my board either by having a lot of gold or having a bunch of extra components, and then continue to win streak. And then with that win streak, I'll have the tempo to maybe play around a Fast 9 into Urgot, because that's what I'm kind of planning on. I'm not really looking to reroll Kog'Maw. I don't think I even have Kog'Maw items here. So what did I get? I got a Reforger and I got a component anvil. So like I said, this is great. I get items here. We love to see it. I'm just going to take Deathblade. I know that I'm going to play around Urgot into late game. Deathblade is just a really overpowered. It's like a little bit overstated of an item. It's hard to make it. That's why it has such good stats. Sorry, when I say stats, like it has good AD that it gives you and good numbers, like the item itself. I'm not saying it's good in the stats. It is good in the stats as well, but like that's another stat. No, what I'm trying to say is that with Urgot, he's going to be Executioner, and I'm going to want some attack speed. Just pumping him with a bunch of AD is going to be really powerful, and it's just a really high-quality item. So I take Deathblade, really easy. It's good on Kog'Maw until I make it to Urgot, and I'm going to continue to streak here. Just rapid fire with Boombot. It worked out really well because I ended up hitting Kog'Maw 2 on this stage, and I have the Alistar upgrade, so I just kind of was able to fix my board across stage 2, got rid of like the whole anima board that I was playing, and I have like this Boombot bruiser board that I'm working on. So the goal is, of course, mid game I want to try and hit 6 Boombot if I can. If I hit 6 Boombot, that's great. I'm already holding on to the cane, so the cane is going to work to give me, you know, Vanguard when I hit a Skarner, and then with the emblem I'm going to be 6 Boombot. Sorry, I'm going to be 4 Boombot. And then when I finally hit like Cho'Gath and some of the later units, then I can be 6 Boombot. 6 Boombot, extremely powerful. It basically just dumps a bunch of AP damage. So when we're looking at our items here, we want to make sure that we're making AP like shred because of 6 Boombot, right? You want to make sure you have armor reduction to increase your AP damage. Then look here. All of a sudden I get a Frying Pan. So of the things I can make, obviously Frying Pan works really well. I can make a Bruiser Emblem, right? Bruiser Emblem is great. Because I'm going to be playing around Bruisers likely because of Cho'Gath. However, I would probably lean more towards just making another Boombot emblem because I'd rather just cut some of the Boombot units. I don't think Bruiser is as important as just having as many Boombot emblems as possible, so I don't have to play a bunch of crap units on my board like Kog'Maw and Skarner when they don't really fit into the board. But if you're looking at it now, that's 2 Boombot emblems, and then I got dropped a Frying Pan. So guess what? We're gonna be making what's it called? 3 Boombot emblems, I guess. I should slam emblems here. I should slam items just to make my board a little stronger because I am win streaking. I think I'm just a little bit dizzy. Like, I'm just a little bit confused because, like, you know, seeing that you have 2 emblems and then getting a Frying Pan, I'm just like, oh, what do I do with this now? And it's a little bit of a wacky situation. But this guy has Alistar 3. It was a little bit awkward, but as you can see, I'm going to end up losing this. If I slam some components, slam some items here, I might have been able to win here. But my leftover components are a little bit awkward, right? I'm obviously not going to make another Deathblade. I think that's a little bit of bad value. But as you can see here, check this out. I have a Skarner. Skarner's going to go in over somebody. I have a Leona as well I high rolled. And yeah, we're just gonna make another Boombot emblem real fast. I have a lot of Reforgers anyways. But we're just gonna Reforge. Chainmail is how you make Boombot emblem. And we're just gonna call it a day. So I'm basically 1 Fiddlesticks off of 6 Boombot on stage 6 because I have 3 Boombot emblems. So I don't know. We'll see how this goes. And then here, I think I should just make a Void Staff. Void Staff is just good to make because I need shred damage. Right? Like, Boombot, basically what it does is it fires these rockets that do AP damage. So you want shred just to reduce the magic resist so you do a lot of damage. I think it's more important than sundering. Because if you look at the damage, right, this is with 4 Boombot. You see my Kog'Maw is doing almost as much AP damage as AD damage. At one point, the AP damage is going to be more because of how much Boombot, the proc from Boombot is. But here, I leveled to 7. I'm just going to roll. I'm going to roll for a Fiddlestick because I'm 6 Boombot. It's a little bit of a waste of gold, but I'm pretty rich and I have good econ from the from my prismatic augment, so I feel like I'm ahead of the lobby. I just want to make sure that I keep my HP high so that I can make it to that high level, high cap board of 6 Boombot on level 9. So from here, I'm basically trying to fast 9. We're 6 Boombot on stage 3-3. I don't know if you guys have seen an earlier 6 Boombot, but this is why I said to myself, this is going to be a little bit of a fun video for everybody to watch. Also, I think my music is a little bit loud. I apologize if the music was a little bit loud while we were playing the game. But, I lowered it now, so it should be fine. Sorry, problems with recording. You know, I apologize. Like I said, it's a little bit of a stressful day for me. That's why we're doing the VOD review instead of the general guide. I also think it's at the point now, because I'm playing a lot, that the VOD reviews actually help. I'll always stand by the fact that, like, watching somebody go through and explain their decision-making process is usually a little bit more helpful than just, like, saying, this is how you win with this comp. Like, those guides are not as beneficial, in my opinion. But it's fine. I just do what the people like because I'm a harbinger of information. But yeah, I should just make shred here. Like, I should just make a Void Staff. Me not making a Void Staff, I think, is a huge mistake. Because I do so much AP damage, especially with 6 Boombot. I think the only reason right now I'm delaying it is because I have Fiddlesticks, and Fiddlesticks offers a little bit of shred. Like, Fiddlesticks has a built-in shred effect. So, you know, we'll see how it goes. But I don't know. Look, I'm hovering it every single time. Okay, I finally made it. Let's go. That's good. Right? I think it's the correct decision. You should definitely make it earlier rather than later. This bow, I want to make a Kraken's. Kraken's Fury, the new item that replaced Runans, is broken. It's also very good on Urgot because Urgot has like a built-in effect where you're just pumping out damage. So I'm just chilling here. 6 Boombot. Gonna try and win streak for the rest of this stage. And then maybe try and fast 9 because I do have a good HP lead on the lobby, or a relatively good HP lead on the lobby. Here my positioning is a little bit awkward, right? The Poppy might target my Kog'Maw and then I might lose this fight. But I should be relatively strong, especially with the 6 Boombot. So I expect to hopefully win this fight, but it's going to be close. It comes down to if this Morgana dies before the Poppy. Nah, never mind. Yeah, I was going to say, if I can kill this Poppy or this Morgana before, like, a certain point, then I'd be fine. Anyways, check out this high roll. Isn't that nuts? I know, right? This is what I was saying. This is a Looney Tunes game. This is what I mean. This was like my 1 in 1,000. right? Today I got really unlucky and I had like a series of games where it felt very hard and I just like lost 200 LP today. But holy shit, was this game a high roll. Do you see this? Now I have so many reforgers. I'm definitely going to win with this Urgot. I just reforge until I get a cloak. Kraken's Fury, done. Call it a day. 6 Boombot, Urgot, level 7, 3-6. Take a screenshot and show it to your friends. That was something that happened. You know, don't worry. I paid my punishments. I rolled 70 gold for a Yuumi 2-star. And I didn't find a single Yuumi when I was playing Amp. So you know what? I don't want to hear it. Okay? I paid my dues. Okay? I lost 200 LP because of this game. Okay? This was my lucky game, and I got unlucky after. Don't worry. But what's really good about having Urgot early, by the way, if you have an Urgot early, you almost always want to play it. Urgot has a chance of giving you loot, and part of that loot is giving you components. Getting components early, you can start farming to have extra items. Having more items is always going to be powerful. A unit does nothing. A unit is basically useless unless they have items. So if you have items, the more quality units you play, especially if you're trying to play a board like I am, where I'm trying to fast 9 and play a bunch of 5 costs, you want to have items to bring out the potential of those units. If you don't have items for those units, they will not do anything most of the time. So be very aware of that. Always try and play your Urgot if you have it early. Even if you're not playing like around Boombot, try and find a way to play him if you have the space for him on your board, just because he's always going to be a great +1. He also gives an execute, so he's great like as an Aurora plugin, or pop, like sub in whatever she does, like, you know, pull in, just to mention. So here, this is what I was saying, expected unexpectedness just gives me a lot of value. So remember what I was talking about before, you know, there was high-end shopping, which, you know, I high rolled the Urgot anyways, but that's just because, like, you know, this is one of those like wacky ass games. But in general, right, expected unexpectedness just gives a lot of value. It gives a lot of gold, gives opportunity for components. You're up a lot of resources on the lobby, which generally just helps a lot. That's why I took it in this spot. Here, I'm going to switch my Urgot items a little bit. I like Deathblade on him. I like QSS. It stacks really well. Like, as an attack speed item, I like it. And then just having him not being stunned is pretty good. So, I like it. And it gives him some crit, which works really well with his Executioner trait. So, his crit chance, you know, gets a little bit higher. So, he has a better chance of, like, realizing that crit. But here, I'm level 850 gold. I'm probably going to start losing rounds at one point. Urgot 1 is kind of awkward. He sometimes can carry a game, but if there's too much frontline where he's not getting his executes early, he really falls off hard, especially in stage 4. Unless you have Urgot 2. Then Urgot 2, you're going to be really strong here. But if you look at my board, it's very ragtag. I don't even have upgraded frontline units here. So a lot of times it would make sense to roll here, definitely. But like I said, I'm very close to being able to fast 9. I'm 76 HP, so what I'm going to try and do is I'm probably going to sacrifice my HP here, use my HP as a resource. This board should be relatively stable. I don't think I'm going to lose every single fight. Here I'm putting Boombot on Aurora because I think it might help her do a little bit more damage. Who knows? So I move it to the back line. But in general, I'm looking at this board, I'm saying to myself, I should be able to win most of these fights, and if I don't win the fights, I'm going to do pretty well in the fights, ideally. So let's see how it goes. And then I have the Urgot farming, so I don't want to throw away a first, right? I have some kind of wacky spot where I have 3 Boombot emblems and I have an Urgot on stage 4. You know, I want to try and make it. I want to try and make it there. I want to try and make it to a first. This is a spot where it's like, I definitely high rolled. Just want to convert it to that win. And then here, this is the even crazier part. I found a Zac as well. So now we're in a really good spot, right? Look at this shit. I'm Urgot paired, Zac on 4-3. It's Looney Tunes. It's actually Looney Tunes. It's ridiculous. I have Boombot Zac on 4-3. But now that I'm Urgot paired, I'm probably going to level to 9 a little bit earlier. Because I'm Urgot paired, I actually have a good chance of upgrading this Urgot already. So, you know, 79 gold, 76, like, you know, I can probably level right after Carousel, and I'll roll around 30-ish gold. Right? Of course, my frontline isn't very upgraded, but I think it's a good idea to just roll earlier rather than later, just to guarantee, like, you know, a certain level of strength and to make sure that I try and win out from my spot. Right? So, like, if I look here, I'm like, I could wait until the end of the stage. If I want to be super safe and I want to, like, max greed, play for first, you should wait till the end of the stage to level, just because you want to build up enough interest so that when you get to level 9, you have enough gold to roll on level 9. Right? That's like the idea. But at least in this spot here, I'm 64 HP. You know, I take one bad loss, which I could very easily lose any one of these rounds. Like, I don't think I'm super stable with Urgot 1. My items aren't crazy. I don't even have upgraded frontline. Like, I don't have a good frontline tank set up right now. So, in my head, the way that I'm looking at it, it's like, I just want to level. I want to try and hit this Urgot 2 early. I want to start rolling every turn for Zac blobs. So, I just want to be on level 9 and have those 9 odds to try and find my upgraded 5 cost units. So, I'm just going to level here. I'm going to roll around, I think it's like 30-ish gold if I calculated correctly. Yeah, see, 27, and then I have a couple extra units on board. And we're just going to try and play as many 5 costs as possible, collect Zac blobs, and then we're also going to look for this Urgot. So basically, I'm rolling 30 gold, trying to find like an Urgot upgrade. Garen is obviously going to go in. Here I'm just debating who I'm putting in. It's probably going to be over this guy. Yeah, like I don't really care too much about playing Leona here. Originally, I was thinking maybe around Aurora I can play Leona. But I'm going to play Garen. Skarner is just going to be here for now for fun. And then eventually I'm going to swap out one of these guys for Kabuko and what's his name? Cho'Gath, right? That's going to be, that. Like I want to play those units more so, like Bruisers and that. Here I'm fighting the Resident Amp player who hit Samira on level 8. So obviously I'm going to lose this fight. GG, my bad. You know, it doesn't matter what my level was. I was going to lose this fight. I think I made it pretty close just by leveling up here. But as you can see, I'm going to roll till around 10 gold every turn. Just looking for Urgot here. And also collecting Zac blobs, right? Because I want to start scaling the Zac as soon as possible. And then here, I'm going to keep Techie in, obviously, because I have the Viego. Viego's not super important here, but I'm just trying to play around whatever 5 costs I hit. I'm going to try and roll. I rolled a little bit too deep because I want to hold on to this Garen. So now I'm just going to roll to 0. Because I'm Garen paired. I'm Urgot paired. Right, and I'm Cho'Gath paired, right? When you're paired on units, econ doesn't matter anymore because hitting any one of these units is going to spike my board tremendously, right? Urgot 2 is going to spike my board. Maybe this guy doesn't spike my board, but Cho'Gath 2 definitely spikes my board. So you don't want to greed too much your gold at this point. You know, you could still try and play for the win, like I said. I think I still win no matter what. If I hit Urgot 2, 6 Boombot Urgot 2, I don't think anybody can really beat me. Except maybe the Amp player, but by then I'd probably outscale the Amp player anyways. Then, of course, I lose to Anima. Anima is just really strong, really stable on stage 4. Like I said, as soon as I hit Urgot 2, I win out. That's like my idea. And then I have the Garen scaling me for late game and the Zac scaling me for late game. So I'm not too worried about that. So I'm just going to Boombot Zac, right? Move the Boombot emblem, go for 3-item Zac as my main tank. Once I hit Zac 2, you know, whenever that happens, but it should happen at one point in the game. Of course, I think a lot of times you can look at these boards, like right now you can look at the board, and you can say, well, why are you playing like a 0 synergy Aurora? I think I get this question a lot. I've read my comments, and some, like, very often people are like, why are you playing an Aurora? Why don't you play something else? I think Aurora is just really good. She applies effects really well, so like this Void Staff, she applies it incredibly well, right? She just hits like the entire board or most of the back line very easily. She does a shit ton of damage, and she also pulls in a unit. The pulling in of a unit is incredible. It just does so much value. It's so much value. It just is. It's just so much value. So you should always like consider it, is what I would say. So for example, for me, like when I'm looking at this Aurora, it doesn't matter what she's pulling in. It just adds like another body onto this board where I have an Urgot and like these Boombots that are just pumping out Boombot damage, right? There's not much better that I can put on the board than a unit that basically applies the shred to everybody, right? Look, she just hit everybody with the shred. So now they're all taking giga damage from the Boombot emblems or from the Boombot trait. And then she also pulls in a unit that helps my units to survive a little bit, right? Look, this Aurora, just being a nuisance, let my Urgot live long enough to win out the fight. You know what I mean? Like, who else am I playing? I'm playing a Dynamo? You want me to play, like who do you want me to play? You want me to play a Golden Ox? It's like, it doesn't matter at that point. Also, I don't really care too much about this thing doing a lot of damage. The Urgot, now I have Urgot 2. From here on out, this is probably a game 1, right? Like I've won the game. I'm paired on all my 5 costs, so I'm still going to roll very aggressively every turn, right? I'm rolling for Zac blobs. I'm rolling for Aurora upgrade. I'm rolling for Viego upgrade. I just like having a bunch of units that are just doing a bunch of damage. And just being nuisances, because this Urgot, he will clutch out, he will win out with 6 Boombot. As soon as he starts pumping, you're gonna see these Boombots going nuts. Look at this. Look at this. Bang, 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 bang. Magic damage galore. They're all dead. Look, the whole board's dead. Urgot casted like 1 time, and he wiped out the whole board. That's what I was trying to say. Just, I don't care about any of this other shit. Just get the Urgot 2. As soon as I hit Urgot 2, 6 Boombot Urgot 2, I'm probably winning out. And then even if I don't think I'm going to win out, I have Garen scaling me into the late game, and I have Zach scaling me into my late game. So if Urgot doesn't clutch it, by the time Urgot is not able to clean wipe out the whole board, I'm going to have Zach 2, and I'm going to have Garen 2. The most important thing right now for me is just to make sure I survive. That's why I was rolling really aggressively. Like I said, if I was really playing for like Giga first, like I want to Giga greed and play with a thinner margin, I'm not that type of player. I like to not play with thin margin. But if you want to play with a thinner margin, you should have delayed going to level 9 just so you could roll more efficiently, right? I was already Urgot paired. I could have waited until 5-1 to go 9. I would have had like 50 plus gold to roll on level 9, and I would have hit my upgrades a little bit more smoothly, right? It was a little bit rocky, right? Like I'm still at 0 gold. I'm still rolling to 0 every turn. You know, I might have been able to just hit everything upgraded and win out from there. But like I said, I just didn't want to drop too low on HP. It's a little bit of a wacky game as well. And I'm not scouting very well because it's like just hard to see everything that's going on. You know, what if the anima player hits 10 anima? What if somebody else hits some other crazy shit? I want to preserve HP at the same time, right? Like the anima player, he never hit a reforger, so he just was forced to make a strategist emblem, which you could see now. But it's hard to see sometimes. Sometimes people hide things on their bench. Sometimes people hide things on their boards, right? These are, relatively speaking, this is a Grandmaster lobby. So, you know, people are not gonna make those type of mistakes of like being very like open with their ideas, so to speak. So, you know, I've lost my games to playing with thin margin, just messing up. Here Garen's being really nice to me. I got another Boombot emblem, so we're gonna Boombot somebody else. So let's just grab Boombot. I'm just thinking a little bit. The only reason I'm considering something is I'm trying to think of something I could put on Urgot. Like, Urgot's my main unit, so I'm trying to think of what mod I can put on Urgot. As you can see, Divinicorp, kind of useless, doesn't really matter. So I'm just going to stack some more Boombots here. Viego 2 is great. I'm just going to start building some Garen items maybe, because, like, I don't know, I was able to get an IE off of Carousel. I should technically just 3-item this Aurora. I think that would probably help me a little bit. But Viego 2 is great. He's going to apply some, you know, techie damage reduction to some of the backline units. But pretty much nobody should be able to compete with this Urgot. Like, as you can see, this is what happens when you play 6 Boombot. But it's very dependent on hitting the Urgot. Obviously, it was a Giga Highroll game. I hit the Urgot early. But a lot of times, you're going to lose a lot more fights. Like, look at this game, right? I hit Urgot on stage 3 with 3 Boombot emblems, and I'm 43 HP. Imagine if I hit Urgot on stage 5 because I wasn't able to hit him on a level 8 roll down. Like, just think about it logically for a second. Wouldn't I just go 8th? That's the risk of Boombot. It is so scary to play this comp because you're so reliant on hitting Urgot and upgrading the Urgot a lot of the time. Now, you could technically play something else. There are some synergies. You can put Boombot on, like, whoever's, like, some crazy interactions. I understand that. But you just gotta be cognizant of these things, right? Here, I was kind of playing it because I was forced to play it, and it was definitely a Giga Highroll game. In a more average luck game, I'm not saying you're never going to hit Urgot, but you might only hit Urgot. Like, you might have to stabilize around Vex a lot of the time. Right? A lot of times you're going to have Vex 2 with Vex items, and then you're going to have an Urgot a little bit later in the game, and then you're going to be playing on a thinner margin, right? You're going to be like 10 HP. You're going to be like 13 HP. So, you know, it's still a win out, right? If you have Urgot 2 and you're 1 HP, and you have this type of board, you're still going to win. But you just got to be careful about that, right? So when you're planning around Boombot, this is like to also show you guys, hey, you know, be careful out there. There's times where this goes very poorly, and, you know, it didn't go poorly here, but you know what I mean. But anyways, like I said, we're just having Aurora pull in something. Aurora's eventually just going to pull in Kabuko. Kabuko's a great pull in. Zach, a lot of times you like to play Zach on the board because he gets, like, when he splits into his blobs, he loses his stats a lot of the time, or I'm pretty sure he loses his stats or something like that. It's hard to, like, I don't know the exact numbers, but he's just better if you play him instead of pulling him. If you pull him in, he keeps his initial HP, so he's still, like, going to scale his HP, but I think when he splits, it gets screwed up or something like that. Just be aware of that, you know, be careful out there. Here I'm just putting another item on Garen, because I don't think did I see an Aurora item? That's probably a mistake. Yeah, I could probably take Shojin for Aurora, right? But I think I just don't like Shojin that much. But I could have taken Shojin for Aurora because I don't have Dynamo in anyways. As you can see, I'm also like, you might have noticed I'm not buying that many Vexes. The reason is that I spike so much harder off these 5 costs. I have 0 Vex items, right? Like, who the fuck cares if Vex has an item or not? Like, I have 0 Vex items, right? I don't have Blue Buff. I don't have Gunblade. I'm not making Blue Buff. I'm not making Gunblade anytime soon. So that's why I wasn't upgrading Vex. I was more worried about, like, you know, using that gold to upgrade my 5 cost, namely my Urgot. But yeah, this is looking chalked, right? Isn't this just done? We got a scout to make sure nobody's going for a 3-star 4 cost or something. I just had a game today where somebody hit a 3-star 5 cost. They had 3-star Renekton. I might make a clip of it and show it on my YouTube if you guys really want to see it. But yeah, we're just rolling for blobs every single turn. I could start making Econ and go level 10, of course. But I just want to make sure that I win all of these rounds. I don't think going 10 really does anything. Like, what synergy am I going level 10 for? Divinicore? Vanguard? Techie? Like name me the synergy. Dynamo? Do any of those really matter? No. You know what matters? Bloblets. So I'm just going to keep grabbing my Bloblets. I'm going to grab them every single turn. I could theoretically make Econ, right? I could make Econ and then roll for Bloblets later. Like, I could make 50 and then roll above 50 for the Bloblets. I just don't want to risk anything here, right? I've lost enough games to know that we just scale up the Zac instantly. As soon as I hit Zac 2, I can put the items on the Zac, and then I just know that I won for sure. So I'm being very inefficient here, of course, but I just don't want, like, I just don't want to fuck around, right? Like, I'm pretty sure I beat everybody. This guy's a Nidalee 4. You know, if he beats me, he beats me. Me saving up some gold isn't going to help that much. It's not going to make that much of a difference. But here, Boombot Emblem, we'll just put on, like, somebody, Vex, or maybe Viego. I think it would have been better on Viego, but it's fine. But now we're just going to roll. Eventually, if we hit Zac 2, we win. I'm still rolling for the Zac 2, and I'm just rolling for Bloblets, just make him more of a nuisance. Right, he's Boombot modded as well, so he's going to be doing a bunch of damage, passive AP from the Boombot trait, right? But yeah, I think the game's over. Isn't the game over? It's probably over. It was kind of a short game as well. I paused a little bit, and I think the video's still going to be like only around 30 minutes. Oh, this is looking kind of close, though. He didn't hit Samira 2. If this guy hit Samira 2, he might have won 1 or 2 of these rounds. But anyways, that's a GG. That's a first. Alright, so what do we learn this game? I played a little bit poorly at the beginning in the intro, and I kind of pointed out I was kind of playing for an easy game. Looney Tunes ass game, just got a bunch of Boombot emblems, but I thought it would be fun for you guys. Like, you know, if you've never seen 6 Boombot, that Urgot is a demon, that's something you can play towards, right? Even with just 1 Boombot emblem. But just be aware, right? You saw, like, Urgot 1, I was losing to, like, Anima, I was losing to a lot of, like, standard style comps. Fast 9ing, very difficult to do. You saw how much gold I had. I was like Urgot, pair, 50 gold, level 8. And I still cut it kind of close, right? We were still 40 HP or so. End of the game, I was just playing super safe, right? I already felt like I won with Urgot 2, so I didn't want to accidentally lose any rounds or give anybody a chance to come back. I want to be maximum pressure, so I'm just rolling for Bloblets, rolling for upgrades, every single turn rolling to 0 for Zac 2, because if I hit Zac 2, transfer items onto the Zac with, you know, 30 plus Bloblets, he's going to carry anyways, and I'm going to win out. But of course, you know, that's just because I was in a good spot for that. I felt like I was not in a spot where I was already commanding a first with the Urgot 2, I probably wouldn't roll as deep, right? I would try and like greed a little bit to try and outcap the amp player, but in this case, I said to myself, I'm pretty sure I just win on level 9 anyways. Let's make sure that I just convert that into a win. Hopefully that was enjoyable and fun. Sorry that it's not a guide today. I know people don't like the VOD reviews too much, but some people do like them, so hopefully it was a little bit helpful. And I tried to pick one that was a little bit interesting. You know, I don't just want to show you guys me going like 5th and me explaining all the mistakes I made. But if you guys want to see that, I'm going to start doing that for members content. So if you're interested in that, members content is going to come back. I'm going to start doing it starting tomorrow, next week. All the games that I bought for, I'm going to put there. A lot of the games on top for, I'm actually going to start a VOD channel. So if you want to see this, but without me commentating over it, I'm just going to upload the games from the stream on a VOD channel, because I think that's what a lot of TFT people do. I think I'm at the point where I might as well just start doing that as well as a second channel. But anyways, thanks for watching. Have a great day and see ya. Bye-bye.